Good afternoon. My name is Peter Hern. I'm doing a presentation on managerial changes within a company and the effects that that has on the climate of the business. Welcome to my family that is watching this presentation, including my 18-year-old son. Perfect timing.
Can you show that he's actually not being hurt or harmed in the making of this video?
Okay. Patrick? Over a fifth of an annual employee salary is oftentimes used to off-board and onboard a new employee. What that means is that 20% of an employee's salary is taken up in the HR aspect, the recruiting aspect, the changes in staffing, training, etc., background checks, drug checks, etc. What does that do to a company's bottom line? Excuse me. What that does to a company's bottom line is it puts a huge taxing event on a company every time an employee leaves. And that is very bad for the company. It's not actually about money, but budgetary concerns for any company, especially small businesses, are extremely huge. Offboarding costs are astronomical. An offboarding event is when a person leaves, whether they resign or whether they are forced out, whether they are fired, they quit, etc. Whether they, even if they transfer to a different company, they are off-boarded, and there is a certain HR event that goes with that. There are the HR staff that's behind it includes recruiters, specialists, generalists. Typically there's an HR director that's above all those people, and they all have astronomical salaries. Short-term staffing costs weigh into any kind of an off-boarded event. Marketing is a huge issue. You've got to place the ad for that new position out on recruiting websites, Monster, Taleo, etc., to get new candidates to come in. And all of those things create a lot of chaos within the company. Some of that chaos involves just the feeling that employees have whenever somebody is off-boarded. The sense of loss of an employee, the sense of loss of a coworker, a friend. What does that mean to the company? How is the company going to deal with the loss of a manager, especially a manager or a supervisor, or maybe a CEO or a CFO? All of those things bring tension to the company. When somebody at the top of the company is removed from their position, whether they quit voluntarily or are fired, that shakes the trust in the company. The employees are not sure how to handle it. They don't know where to go. They don't know what the bottom line is going to mean to them. They don't know what their new supervisor or manager is going to look like. They don't know if it's better the devil they know, even if they're dealing with a tyrannical supervisor now. The second part of that, of course, is that an off-boarded event where a manager leaves creates a position where inside employees want to move up into that position. Maybe they're qualified, maybe they're not. Maybe they're well trusted, maybe they're not. But it creates a place where employees are vying for those positions within the company, and that creates a lot of mistrust, a lot of anarchy in the office. It also reduces productivity all the way across. It creates hurt feelings between staff, especially if one person feels they're more qualified than the other. There's a cost an opportunity cost in training a new boss or a new manager, whether you hire from within or whether you hire from without. And it changes the atmosphere of the office, especially in a teamwork environment, because now you've got a new team going in. Superiors leave for various reasons. They get fired, they are phased out, maybe a division changes, they resign, just retire, maybe they want to get out because they're tired of it. They want to change jobs, etc. Who's going to take that place? Who's going to refill that position? What's the budget going to look like after they're gone? All of those things are in flux in this kind of a scenario. When a position gets opened up, there's all kinds of vying for that position within the company and from without. And what that does is it means that a lot of the current supervisors' information and contacts, whether it's networking contacts, whether it's the documents that they've created, the contracts with customers, with vendors, etc. Those may all dissolve because of that supervisor leaving. All of the emails, all of the knowledge that he's attained, all of that stuff goes right out the door. And a new hire does not have that knowledge coming in. Certainly a new hire brings fresh ideas into the company, but they lose all of the knowledge that they're taking with them. And that is one of the reasons why losing a supervisor or manager cannot be quantified just in a straight cost perspective. Even though we know that over 20% of an employee's annual salary is lost in the onboarding and offboarding scenarios. The other thing that it does is it creates a different corporate image and makes for the company to be put in a spot where it has to create a new image with a new supervisor or a new manager or a new CEO. Some notable corporate leadership changes that have affected the economy, affects the way that businesses are run, etc. Jack Welch was the CEO of General Electric. Excuse me. Jack Welch was the CEO of General Electric. When he went to integrate Honeywell International into General Electric, the merger was stalled until he named a replacement and was made to stay on longer than what he was supposed to. Every year that a new president is elected, the stock market goes up and down based on who they think is going to be elected, who the analysts think is going to be elected. When Lee Iacocca left Chrysler in 1992, the company was sold 6 years later to Cerberus because it was being run into the ground under the new leadership. Also, Gordon Bethune left Continental Airlines in 2004, and in 2010 the company was merged in with U.S. Airlines. Thank you very much. Is there any questions?
I'd like to ask you about your current position, and could you tell us about a time where you personally had to deal with subordinates that left and this whole issue of mistrust and upheaval in the company, and how you dealt with working with your subordinates as they, adjusted to a new supervisor or a new, corporate structure?
Sure. So currently I'm in the process of onboarding a new supervisor for my staff. I manage a staff of 24 people that operate in 7 different hospitals in southeast Detroit, southeast Michigan rather. When my staff supervisor left and was transferred to a different division, she was actually promoted to a manager's position. It created a lot of upheaval. A lot of our subordinates thought that they were qualified to take over her position. However, they didn't have any supervisory skills, whereas they did have Medicaid eligibility experience. They didn't have the supervisory skills, in my opinion, that was warranted in filling her spot. So myself and my superiors decided that we would hire from outside of the company somebody that had, at a minimum, some of that supervisory experience, along with at least a modicum of Medicaid eligibility experience. And so what that did was it created a lot of ill will within some of my subordinates that thought that they were qualified to take that position over. The fallout of that has not yet been seen. The new supervisor hasn't started yet, but we'll see if some of those people that think that they are qualified or deserve to be moved up move out rather than stay where they are and wait till the next opportunity. One of the things that I've done to try to counteract that is I'm working on creating a mentoring program for staff that want to be promoted within the company so that they can take some classes on gaining supervisory skill, gain some of the knowledge that's needed so that they can expand their own horizons, etc. And so hopefully they won't feel that they're stuck in their current positions with no opportunity to move out. We also created a brand new position and promoted from within for that position. So at least those staff members that felt that they can or should move up or deserve to be moved up, they see that at least one of their own was moved up, although maybe not as far as what they'd hoped. So we hope that that's going to create an environment where the opportunities for advancement are shown to the subordinate staff, and that they do exist, and that we do want to hire from within, promote from within, etc.
So just a follow-up to that, how do you, have you thought of a way to kind of preserve that institutional knowledge that you lose when more senior staff moves or leaves, so that you don't have that void of internal knowledge that you lose when a senior staff member leaves?
That's a great question, and it's one that I haven't fully answered. Each offboarding event, if it's sudden, I don't believe that there's any way that can be bridged, because that person's literally being walked out of the door. If there's a kind of a 2-week notice, or maybe an internal transfer, there's a cooperative element that remains, and so I have that advantage with my former staff supervisor. She was promoted but works in an office right next door to mine, so if I have questions about what she's doing, or scheduling things, or HR issues that she was in charge of prior to, I can literally walk down the hallway and talk to her and ask her what the deal is. That's not always the case. In fact, I think it's a very rare case. I don't know how to answer that question, because this is really kind of a one-off scenario. Had she left the company all the way around, then that would have probably been the end of it.
Right.
We would have just lost it and had to move on without it. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and effort.
Very insightful, thank you.
Everybody wave to the camera. Joe, thank you for your commentary. I appreciate that greatly.